They told you salt was just for food. They told you it was ordinary, cheap, and everywhere. But they never told you it was one of the oldest spiritual keys hidden in plain sight. For centuries, protection and purity were guarded not by weapons or walls, but by something sitting quietly on every table. Salt in Scripture wasn't just symbolism, was power. What if I told you this mineral was a silent witness to divine covenants, a tool of practical purification rituals, and a trusted agent of inner transformation, the kind of truth that slipped through history while empires rose and fell, staying right under your nose? And here's the twist. The people who knew its mystical properties never advertised it. They used it quietly. Today, I'm going to show you why salt has been a forbidden spiritual secret, why it has been underestimated, misunderstood, and sometimes even feared. The question is, are you ready to hear what they never wanted you to know? From the dusty corners of ancient temples to the quiet kitchens of humble homes, salt has been quietly standing guard for centuries. It's far more than a sentinel. In old traditions, protection and purity weren't abstract concepts. They were embodied in simple, tangible elements. Salt in Scripture is one such element, guarding spaces, spirits, and even the very idea of balance. Don't imagine a time when spiritual safety wasn't something you hoped for, but something you actively built. Our ancestors would line thresholds, mix it into sacred offerings, and sprinkle it around the perimeters of their homes. Why? Because they believed salt wasn't just about flavor, it was an unspoken divine covenant, a promise of safety between the human and the divine. And isn't it curious how this practice survived, despite empires falling and cultures shifting? The mystical properties of salt are still whispered about in rituals today. From a pinch over the shoulder to elaborate practical purification rituals, salt continues to serve as an agent of inner transformation, quietly inviting those who listen to uncover its deeper spiritual legacy. When we step into the world of ancient texts, salt shows up again and again, never as a coincidence. In Salt in Scripture, it becomes a bridge between heaven and earth. Think of the Pact of Salt in Numbers 18:19, a divine covenant symbolizing eternal faithfulness. It wasn't just symbolic, it was a seal that carried protection and purity through generations. In the story of Elisha purifying the waters of Jericho, 2 Kings 2:19-22, salt transforms destruction into life. It's a profound image, something as ordinary as salt altering the destiny of an entire city. And here's the lesson: what appears common can hold mystical properties that ripple into miracles when applied with faith and intention. Even the sacrifices described in Leviticus 2:13 carried salt, underscoring that no offering was complete without this humble mineral. It wasn't about taste, it was about connection, a symbolic handshake between man and the divine. And who can forget Lot's wife, turned into a pillar of salt, a stark reminder that divine covenants also come with responsibility and consequence. Salt's mystical properties have fascinated mystics, healers, and philosophers for centuries. It's not just protection and purity, it's also balance, a spiritual mirror that reflects intention back to the sender. That's why in both sacred circles and shadowy rituals, salt is used as an agent of inner transformation. In practical purification rituals, it absorbs negativity. In darker practices, it amplifies curses. Its ambivalence teaches one thing clearly: the true power lies not in the salt itself, but in the hands and heart of the one who wields it. Salt has always been a tool of practical purification rituals, used to cleanse spaces, objects, and even people, from scattering it in the corners of a home to protect against heavy energy, to using it in baths that renew one's spiritual strength. Salt has been a quiet yet powerful companion, its protection and purity in its simplest form, accessible to anyone. But here's the secret, often overlooked. Intention transforms salt from a kitchen staple into a spiritual force. It becomes an agent of inner transformation when applied with focus, turning anxiety into peace, doubt into clarity. Just like the ancients believed, this humble mineral can reset the spiritual atmosphere, leaving behind a space that feels lighter, calmer, and more alive. Across continents and centuries, salt has crossed borders without losing its essence. In Japan, it guards sumo arenas. In the Middle East, it seals friendships. In Africa, it blesses newlyweds. This universal respect for salt reflects its enduring protection and purity, transcending language and tradition. Salt in Scripture is just one part of a global story. In Christianity, Hinduism, and Judaism alike, salt appears as a divine connector. It's blessed in exorcisms, sprinkled in temple perimeters, and placed at tables as a sign of divine covenants. Its mystical properties travel beyond religion. It's a bridge between physical and spiritual worlds. Wherever it's used, it whispers the same truth. Protection is not a culture. It's a principle. In the world of spiritual alchemy, salt holds a place of honor. It's not just about preservation or protection and purity. It's a symbol of crystallized spiritual energy. Salt, as an agent of inner transformation, mirrors the human journey. Raw, imperfect, and full of potential waiting to be refined through experience and self-awareness. The refining process of salt is a metaphor for personal growth. Just as salt is purified, we also cleanse ourselves from emotional and spiritual impurities. Practical purification rituals, whether symbolic or literal, become moments of self-reflection, where we commit to shedding what no longer serves us. This is why salt has endured in sacred practices across eras. Its mystical properties are more than symbolic. They are experiential. To work with salt is to accept a divine covenant with your higher self, subtle agreement that you will strive for inner clarity, strength, and transformation. You've just walked through centuries of forgotten wisdom, yet most people will leave salt sitting on their kitchen shelf without ever unlocking its potential. Protection and purity were never meant to be passive ideas. They were meant to be lived. The question is, will you keep seeing salt as seasoning, or will you recognize it as a spiritual tool? If salt in scripture, divine covenants, and practical purification rituals have stood the test of time, what's stopping you from trying them? What could change in your energy, your home, your inner state, if you dare to explore these mystical properties? Maybe the real secret isn't the salt, it's what you're willing to do with it. If this opened your mind even a little, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and don't miss the next piece of knowledge they've been keeping from you. Are you ready to transform curiosity into action?